This and next videos I will talk about at what conditions radical life extension would be possible. Let's go. So I propose a lifestyle diet and supplements that may radically improve health and in older age and extend lifespan. This protocol is affordable even for poor people in developing countries, but requires motivation, discipline, persistence, humility, and even endurance of solitude. While certain improvements in health may be detected already in a month or two, the rejuvenation of a body requires years of hard work. Extreme longevity is a significant burden on retirement funds as it strains pension system not designed for long retirement. Elderly people often face age discrimination from young, well-educated individuals insecure in jobs and influence in society. If most people pursue physical pleasures and high social status in life, who will endure a long life in humility, rejections, and solitude? Again, this can be a problem. Okay, so again, be prepared that nobody will pay you retirement for 50 or 100 years, so you have to get self-funded retirement if you want to live really long. Religions and cultural norms may motivate people by providing a basis for meaning, purpose, and moral guidance and the sense of community, influencing individual behavior, social structures, and even political actions. The number of religiously unaffiliated individuals, which includes atheists, agnostics, and those with no religion, is growing in some Western countries like the United States and Western Europe. Atheists can find purpose in their life, although this purpose is typically self-centered, like physical pleasures and high social status, rather than responsibility toward other people. Atheism is often associated with materialism and the ideology of communism. Karl Marx, the founder of communism, proposed an ideal and just society where all the goods, everything will be distributed between people according to their basic needs, not according to what contribution to the society. Okay, so again, the number of atheist church and also people who are completely not interested in any religion is growing, and it is the reality of this world. The communistic ideology was often implemented through violence, killing of innocent individuals, and forced labor in concentration camps, factories, and agricultural communities. Examples include the Khmer Rouge regime in Cambodia, where 25% of population was murdered, and over 100 million innocent people in China and Soviet Union were killed or perished from artificial famine and forced labor by communists. Communism led to equality of people in misery, while communist leaders enjoyed unlimited power and luxury. This is what is happening. So all these leaders of left-wing movement, they expect to live in luxury, to have unlimited power. Religion was ridiculed, and atheism was propagated in schools, for example, in Soviet Union and China. In the long-term, extermination and oppression of hard-working, intelligent, and religious people led to the decline in technologies, morals, and cultures in the communist countries, and consequently, it was common for criminal gangs to gain influence and power in the post-communist countries. This is what happened in republics of the former Soviet Union, and in China maybe not so, because communists yet in power. But again, the atrocities in China and Russia and Ukraine, Soviet Union was awful. completely awful. 100 million people were perished. And it is not only China, not only Soviet Union. In Africa, some countries try to implement this communist ideology, and also Gulag are quite well known about suffering people, how people suffer in Gulag in these concentration camps. Communist ideology promotes basic healthcare services in communist country that led to improvement in healthcare services and infection disease control, but this did not consistently translate to longer life expectancy compared to countries with consolidated democracies, just because there was always food shortages. So I was born in Ukraine, and it was the Soviet Union, and I remember a time of this shortage of food. So I'm not as tall as I can be, because there was no meat. Actually, we were living on mostly on potatoes and some cabbage, and so we're growing ourselves, and it was very, very difficult times. Again, this everything was in shortage, in short supply. Meanwhile, sophisticated and expensive medical treatment were often used to improve health and extend the lives of communist leaders. The transition from communism often had negative impact on health outcomes, including a decline in life expectancy, because again, criminals are coming to power, and then you have even more problems in post-communist countries. But in the long term, democratization of the post-communist countries may provide public health benefits and increased longevity, especially for male citizens. Okay, so this slide, you see the life expectancy, which expected to in 2100, and of course it is just illusion, because it will be not so, certainly. Beyond communism, various forms of socialism and left-wing social movements have aimed to create society with guaranteed minimum standards of living through state control of key industries and services. The left-wing ideology, or so-called populism, frequently involves concept of racial, national and gender privileges, like white people privilege, male privilege, etc. Left-wing social movements such as feminism, gay rights, environmentalism, and peace movements in their pursuit of social justice often center on identifying systems of oppression and inequality that benefit a certain group at the expense of others. This is how they see the world, and they are just, again, such strange people. Left-wing politics nowadays support, celebrate, and embrace marginalized groups like illegal migrants, women, homosexual, transsexual, racial minorities, and racial and religion minorities. Left-wing extremists seek to abolish the existing state and to order and to replace it with the communist system. Again, consequences they just don't understand. They always say, no, it is in past it was done not a right way. We will do it peacefully. We will do it so that for benefit of all people. But it never changes. It's always communist ideology is consider humans as bio-robots, not as individuals. They see no value in human life. So it will never be peaceful. So this is riots of left-wing populists in California. And then even in Harvard, again, these anti-Semitic students claim that Israel should be destroyed, and number of Muslims in the United States is growing, and all Muslims are consider that Jews are enemies of all Muslims, and the next are Christians. The Christians are supposed to become slaves of Muslims over time, and this is happening. Some Western European governments consider migration as one of the answers to demographic aging. Immigration currently is the only source of population growth in Germany. Net migration in the UK hit a record level of almost 1 million in 2023, and now even more. The most popular countries of destination for immigrants from outside of European Union in 2022 were Germany, and Spain, Italy, France, and when prices in large cities increased by 255% in Germany over the period from 2009, where the number of immigrants was low, to 2020. So it's huge change in prices, and evidence suggests that a high influx of migrants in the UK and Germany is related to increased accommodation cost and lower wages, which make it too expensive for young families to afford renting an apartment or house. The decline in birth rate among natives in the replacement of locals by immigrants in some areas are the consequences. This is how the people from Africa getting first to Italy, and then from Italy they walking and to France, and from France to United Kingdom, but also in France also there are many immigrants. Atheists and materialists claim that evolution of life is defined by principle of natural selection and survival of the fittest in nature. Yeah? In the history of human civilization, we may observe some signs of the selection of the fittest individuals to live and procreate. Before the 20th century, lack of clean water, sanitation, canalization, and medical care led to high prevalence of infectious diseases in Europe, such as plague, smallpox, malaria, tuberculosis, cholera, and influenza, disproportionately affecting infants, children, and the old people, and also those with weakened immune system. Poverty, inadequate nutrition, and cold climate in Europe were closely linked to a lack of hygiene and medical care, and it played a significant role in higher mortality rates, making social groups and population, this is, I stay in the village, sometimes it's very noisy. Okay, this is how people lived in medieval Europe. There was no canalization, no clean water, it was terrible. The mortality rate was very high. So severe punishment for crimes in medieval Europe were removing criminals from society, but they were not a systematic form of artificial selection in the biological sense of intentionally choosing individuals with specific traits for reproduction and thus altering the gene pool. Instead, these punishments were a means of maintaining social order, deterring crime, and enacting retribution, often with public spectacle and a focus on punishment rather than selective breeding. But nevertheless, a number of young men who committed any crime was huge, and they were just executed with death penalty. So I don't remember for sure, but something like 1 from every 10 young men was executed in Europe. However, in long term, together with natural selection by infectious diseases, cold climate, and inadequate living conditions for most of the population in Europe, certain traits like percentage of people with rhesus negative blood, and also people with naturally blonde and red hair, blue eyes, and pale skin, this number amplified compared to the areas with warmer climate. Why? Because it's just people with rhesus negative blood have better immunity, mostly to viruses, and blonde and red hair, it is together with pale skin, it is necessary to get enough vitamin D under sun, And okay, and then this is the way, these were conditions to survive in colder climate. And the executions were disastrous. I mean, there was, I mean, it was very rude, I would say, and very common again, very common in the past in Europe. Social Darwinism, a popular ideology in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, applied Charles Darwin's biological concept of natural selection and survival of the fittest to human society, nations, economics, and politics. It justified practices like racism, imperialism, colonialism, and genetics, and so-called laissez-faire capitalism. This is kind of capitalism with very low, government control. So, and this was again these ideas. Proponents of this capitalism claimed that welfare, universal health care, I mean free universal health care, and social services programs would allow inferior humans to survive, reproduce, and eventually dominate in the society. Yeah, well, you can criticize it that it is not humane, but it is happening now. So in Western countries, at least, so that you will see it, because again, people IQ is dropping and the level of health is dropping. So it's again, it is disaster. So, but yet again, it is considered non-humane, this competition in economy. So, the popularity of the social Darwinism was discredited later due to its association with Nazism. Yeah, it's true, but again, Nazis were, yeah, you know, they were exterminating Jews, so that's trying to make only Germans citizens with all rights, but all civil rights. But again, unfortunately. However, Hong Kong before year 1997, Singapore and Switzerland implemented these economic policies of free capitalism to promote economic growth while keeping basic infrastructure, stable currency, civil rights, and the education available to citizens. Again, I was in Hong Kong and Singapore and Switzerland. I just love it. I love it, how people behave, how it is everything clean, how and the level of life is very high. People are very friendly, so it's really good societies. I love it. So this is explanation what is laissez-faire, this economic system with very low influence of the government, almost free capitalism. And compared to communism, a big difference. Again, big difference. So life expectancy and the level of technological development in countries of these three countries which I mentioned are indirectly influenced by economic policies. Hong Kong, Singapore, and Switzerland have high life expectancies. Yeah, no wonder. Yeah? With Singapore and Switzerland ranking among the top globally in innovation and digital readiness. Hong Kong is also a rising player in these areas. In my opinion, these countries can serve as a model for other countries to follow. At least I would love to live in Singapore instead of Taiwan, but again, it is expensive. I cannot afford, unfortunately, for now at least. But it is so nice, again, so nice people, so nice atmosphere. Hong Kong is so small place, as well as Singapore is so small place. But people, the level of life and the comfort of life is staggering. It is so good, these countries. Switzerland is larger, but again, they have highly educated people and good food. Switzerland most rely on dairy products and meat, Hong Kong on meat. Singapore, I was in Singapore, they consume also quite a lot of seafood, but meat also. Implementing AI, artificial intelligence, or robotics, and proposed protocol, which I propose, for health improvement and radical life extension in countries with low fertility rates such as South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan, also these three countries which I mentioned, may allow them to avoid a replacement of the native population by migrants and improve quality of life for elderly. We may also expect relocation of people from big cities to suburban areas and countryside to produce high-quality food locally. Again, unfortunately, yeah, I would not say Hong Kong can go. Hong Kongians people can go and to countryside. There is no countryside. It's the same about Singapore, but yet again, there is some area that where it is not much. You don't need much area to grow chicken and for eggs and meat, and so it is relatively easy. So, okay, so this is fertility rate. You see that fertility rate, high fertility rate only in Africa and Muslim countries also, while the rest of the world has low fertility rate. And three countries, South Korea, Hong Kong, Macau, and Puerto Rico, 4 countries, have a fertility rate below 1. This is awful. Okay, this is population shrinking. And what I propose, this longevity project, would allow to survive to these people and would allow people in older age to participate in the production and in the society. So I believe that I have a solution for these countries with low fertility rate. So these references which I used in this presentation. So if you was patient enough to watch this video, please mind that I share my personal opinion on rejuvenation and radical lifespan extension. It is not confirmed by clinical trials. So, and my opinion is not supposed to replace any medical advice. I am not medical professional. I am a doctor of science and in physics and mathematics, but also biology was my hobby, and I like biology, and I like farming, and doing things with nature, and I decided that I can live forever, and it is possible. I will explain in more details in next videos what is my motivation. Again, my motivation very much based on Christianity. So I am doctor of science, but also quantum physics was a big part of my education, and even if I didn't work in quantum physics, but education of quantum physics and philosophy related to quantum physics was a big part of my curriculum. And then naturally I came to Christianity because, again, I had the privilege to work with the brightest theoreticians in the area of the theoretical physics, and I would say nobody of them was atheist. Materialism is not confirmed by experiments. I am Christian not because I believe, I trust something what works, and I know from experiments, this is what experiments and observations in my life, I see that Christianity works. I will go in a little bit more details, but again, humans, according to the quantum physics, are very special beings. We can change reality just by our thoughts, by our intentions, and we are so special. Again, making miracles which are impossible in real world. It is quite normal for Christians. This is why I am Christian, because I do miracles. I can do miracles. Okay, please don't forget to press like and bell button, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with your friends and family. It will be appreciated as support of my channel. and it would help to more people to live a healthy life and to live longer. But yet, please mind that again I work mostly for myself, because again I'm quite pessimistic about people. People mostly pursue the physical pleasures and power, money, and what I am talking about, the longevity, is not easy, but I love it. I love this nature. I love to be observer and to change reality. So it's again, I wish to live, if not forever, but then maybe 1,000 years, and it is possible. I see that it works for me. It takes longer time to rejuvenate my body, but because I started already in relatively old age, and but I see the improvement, and I'm quite optimistic about this. Okay, have a wonderful day. Ciao, ciao. Oh, pardon.